Well, thanks for joining us again on the World Cup T20 preview. Today's show, we're going to go all in on Australia. We'll look at what their strengths are, their weaknesses are, key men, and we'll predict where we think Australia are going to finish. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and leave a review. Well, John, a lot of people are writing Australia off after not playing a lot of cricket over the pandemic. They sent a weekend side over to the Caribbean. I think they found a number 3 in Mitch Marsh. And we'll come on to the strengths and weaknesses in a bit. But what do you make of their 15-man squad? And some of the players that are in there have got a lot of IPL experience, which could be invaluable on the surfaces that they're going to be playing on, especially in a place somewhere like Sharjah.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, I think this Australia side would have been one of the favourites if it was taking place in Australia, which of course it was supposed to, and will be next year. That tournament may come a little bit too late for Aaron Finch, possibly. Even David Warner, we'll have to wait and see. Will Steve Smith still be in the side by that point? You'd think so, but a real opportunity for Australia, but I'm not sure. I'm one of the naysayers a little bit. I'll put my allegiance to England to one side for a minute. When I look at this Australia side, I think if they were to qualify above England and West Indies and reach the semi-finals, I think that would be a success of sorts. There's no doubt what their strengths are, and we'll go into that in a minute. But for me, the real point of interest will be around the makeup of their batting. Will Mitch Marsh come in at 3? Will they be able to maximise Glenn Maxwell? Will he be employed as someone who's going to bat against the spin in the middle order? Will it be someone who's just given free rein to go at the bowling towards the back end of the innings? And what about the balance of the side? We know they're so strong with the pace, but what about the spin? What about Ashton Agar and his position there? Is he really going to be their number 7? Is he strong enough as a bowler? Is he strong enough as a batsman? But really, and we'll talk about the weaknesses as well, of course, but really, it's about this. Australia's age-old problem, batting against spin. They're going to face a lot of spin in the UAE on wearing pitches against Asian sides. Do they have the ability, technically, and up here, the nous, to get through that and fire? If they do, then yeah, you may well be right, they'll be in the semi-finals. But that's been a problem for Australia for a long, long time, and I'm not quite sure Glenn Maxwell aside, it's going to stop being a problem for this World T20.
Yeah, I agree. The balance of their side is something that, how do they fit their wicketkeeper in? I'm looking at their side and what I think could be the makeup. Finch is captain, so he goes in first, I think, with Warner. I think Warner has to play. No matter how much you write him off, and he hasn't had the greatest of IPLs, he's still a top player, especially in the shorter format of the game. So I think Warner and Finch will go in first. Mitch Marsh showed in the Caribbean that he's got the game to bat at number 3 and use the power play, and then I just don't see how they can where the wicketkeeper fits in, because if you say Agar's going to have to bat 7, then one of the big guns is going to have to miss out when the batting department. Smith bat 4, Maxwell 5, Stoinis 6. That's the way I would look at making the lineup, and then you're probably looking at Maxwell, Stoinis, and Mitch Marsh to sort of shuffle you through a fifth bowler. And then you go down to your 3 quicks in probably Adam Zampa, or if it is Ashton Agar that comes with it. Because for me, Cummins picks himself, Stark picks himself in this shorter format of the game. And I think the way that the seamers have gone in the UAE, especially in the IPL, where the wicket's getting a bit sort of slow and low and a bit turgid, the harder you hit the deck, it seems to be very difficult to line up and hit through the line of the ball, especially back end of the innings. So I would say Hazelwood would be as good an option for me on that department. So it's going to be interesting to see how they line up. I think they've got 6 hitters at the back if need be, and like Stoinis and Maxwell. It could be one of the greats of the game. He might be the one that misses out, and Steve Smith, and the wicketkeeper finds himself in that number 6 spot with Maxwell moving up to 4 and Stoinis moving to 5, because I still think you're going to need power, and that's what Stoinis brings you. So it's going to be an interesting makeup of the Australian side when they hit the game. First game on the 23rd of October against South Africa. The one thing I will say though, John, against what you're saying, playing against spin, don't think that's really going to come into it until the latter part of the tournament, because if you look at their group, the Australian group, they're in with South Africa, they're in with the West Indies, and they're in with England. Not teams who you think who have got world class spin bowlers. So from that, I'll say Adil Rashid because I'm biased. But when I look at it, they're not playing India, they're not playing Pakistan. And that might just help them in the group that they're in.
Yeah, I think you're absolutely right. They do, of course, come up against, or probably will come up against one of the Asian sides coming through the qualifiers. The point you make about the wicketkeeper, Matthew Wade, I think is a good one, because, of course, Matthew Wade has played for Hobart Hurricanes. He's a top order batsman. And this is part of the problem for Australia, isn't it? Matthew Wade, they tried him out at the top of the order. He's not going to displace Warner and Finch now. Finch has said obviously Finch is opening. He said that Warner will open with him. Wade isn't going to bat at 3 because that's going to be Marsh or Smith, and if Marsh does play, that means Smith's at 4. Does he come in ahead of Maxwell? That's a possibility. Maxwell at 6, but then where does Stoinis fit in amongst that? So yeah, I think we've spoken about a couple of teams now. We're a little bit unsure about the middle order. And when I say middle order, I'm talking about 6 and 7. And if you've got Wade coming in at 6 and then Agar coming in at 7, you lose 3 wickets in the first 8 or 9 overs. They're not really the batsmen, I don't think, that you're going to want coming in. The other thing with Agar, of course, is that he's a decent bowler. He's a gun fielder, and he can hold a bat. But he's a defensive spin bowler, isn't he? So okay, yeah. If that of course is going to be useful. But in terms of wicket taking, is he going to be the one that you're going to be throwing the ball to when you're defending a low total and you need to bowl a team out? And Zampa's bowled 2 or 3 of his 4, because Zampa's quality, as we know. So that for me is a weakness within the Australian side, and it's one of the reasons why I think they're going to do well to get through. We spoke about that key game between New Zealand and Pakistan in the other group. Well, Australia, South Africa again. Whoever loses that, I think, may as well pack their bags and go home. Yeah. Well, look, let's. We've had a little look at the 11, what we expect to see. We haven't really talked about the pace department with great depth, and that's because it may well feature as part of Australia's strengths. Well, when you think of Australia, and if we just put Glenn Maxwell's wonderful IPL to one side, and he has been brilliant in 2021. It's about the pace bowlers, isn't it, and the spin. I mean, 3 bowlers that we're going to expect to see in the first test against England at the Gabba. Josh Hazlewood, who hasn't played a lot of T20 actually. He's only played in the last couple of years for Australia. Pat Cummins, who of course went from megabucks to the Kolkata Knight Riders, but hasn't played since the resumption of the IPL, and still hasn't quite found where he wants to be, I would suggest. And then, of course, a man that will probably make a World T20 11, Mitchell Starc, of course, bowling absolute thunderbolts, reverse, you're not going to get too much reverse swing, but swing, bowling full from a good height, an out-and-out match winner. So when you throw those 3 together, Adam Zampa alongside them, who was one of the few to actually have a good tour of Bangladesh and West Indies, canny operator, good spinner of the ball, been in and around the T20 side for a long time, IPL experience as well, and a bit of an unflappable character. Him and Stoinis have got a bromance going on. You've got to say 4 of their bowling attack is where they're going to be winning the majority of their games.
Yeah, I agree, and I think when I look at that makes me think that the wicketkeeper fits in at 7 and Ashton Agar doesn't fit into the group, and you get 4 overs between Stoinis, Maxwell and Mitch Marsh if he can bowl. So that makeup of that lineup would give me power from a batting department, and would give me depth from a batting department, and I still have me 3 quicks that I want to hit the surface. I want to hit the deck hard, and if I need 4 extra overs of spin, I think Maxwell's good enough and experienced enough in the conditions that he's been playing in. He's on a crest of a wave of IPL for the RCB. So yeah, I look at that and I think, you know what? Yeah, here's a word, brilliant. You talk about Cummins, and I speak from experience. I think I've only seen on social media in the last few days that Pat Cummins has been a father. He's got a little boy there. I think that's for the first time. And that wears on the mind of any human being when you are preparing for fatherhood and it comes along, and the cricket not becomes secondary, but you do take a little bit of mind away from what you're trying to do because of what's going on in your private life. So he'll be bang up for when he gets to the UAE, because the elation you get off that, and congratulations to the Cummins family. He, for me, is the best seam bowler in the world. I don't see anybody be anywhere near Pat Cummins in the world of quick bowling. And I look at the three of them and I think if the wickets are going to be really like slow and turgid, a quick bowler that hits the deck hard could be invaluable. And if you've got three of them like Australia have, they might just surprise a few people.
Yeah, absolutely. And then of course you do have Glenn Maxwell. I mean, I'm not sure you would have come up against too many players like Glenn Maxwell. He's certainly a unique character even in today's game, but he must be so difficult to bowl against. And he's just one of those players that you fear, because if he could add consistency to his game, then he would be one of, if not the world's best. But the fact that he plays in an RCB side alongside the likes of AB de Villiers and Virat Kohli and matches them, it's an incredible situation for RCB. How they haven't won the IPL is bewildering. But if you've got Virat Kohli batting for the first 10 overs, Glenn Maxwell batting overs 10 to 15, and then AB de Villiers batting overs 15 to 20, that's ridiculous, isn't it? Australia though don't quite have those riches though, do they?
No, they don't have the riches, but they've got power. Warner and Finch gets you off to a start more often than not. And it's going to be, for me, it's going to be who deals with the last 5 overs of the first innings the best. That team wins the tournament, because I think if you've got somebody that can get it, we've seen in the IPL as the pitches are getting slower and lower and they're getting more played on. The teams that they're getting between 140 and 135 and 150. If a team has somebody that can take the game away and get 18 or hit three sixes, get 19, 20 off and over, which is over 17, 18, 19 or 20, that's game changing. That's game over for the opposition team. They aren't getting that. And I think that when I look at, if you've got Maxwell at 5 and Stoinis at 6, I think they've got 2 players down there that can actually make an impact and something happen. So that for me is their strengths.
Okay, well look, we've looked at their strengths. We haven't even mentioned Steve Smith and David Warner. I mean, that's ridiculous in itself. But Warner, you may mention, he has had a rough couple of years, Test cricket and also within the IPL. He's had a bit of a shocker there. And of course Steve Smith. Both of these two have missed a lot of T20 cricket for Australia as well. So, but on their day, they are and have been proven to be absolute match winners as well. So when you look at that side, I can see why you come away from it thinking, hang on a second, why are people not talking about Australia? They've got experience at the top of the order and explosiveness in Finch and Warner. Mitchell Marsh is, again, another dangerous player at 3, and he could come in with licence during the power play. Steve Smith to come in at 4 if they've lost a couple of early ones. Maybe they hold Steve Smith back. Maybe they promote Maxwell up the order if they're only 2 down with 7 or 8 to go. That is a position of strength. So they do have the batting to make teams fear them. They've got the pace bowling, and they've got a good spinner as well. So maybe I'm talking myself around. Let's start talking about the weaknesses then. Okay, so in terms of the weaknesses, we've made mention of the Australians' inability to play spin. They do have some players who can play against spin, though. I'm not sure that whilst Glenn Maxwell is going to play, I'm not sure that Inglis will. Inglis is down as the reserve wicketkeeper, so does he play ahead of Matthew Wade? Well, not if he's a reserve wicketkeeper, he doesn't. But he is a decent player of spin, and I'm not sure that Wade is. So there is a weakness there, possibly in terms of selection, and that again is where we come in with Ashton Agar. Does he play? If he does, I think he weakens the side. He's not a good enough batsman, he's not explosive enough, and he's not a wicket-taking bowler. So is this the perennial problem for Australia, searching for all-rounders where they don't exist? Would they not be better going in with a side which has a specific skill, and then, as you said before, making up the overs through a mixture of Stoinis and Maxwell?
Yeah, that for me would be the way I'd go. I'd look at it and think, you know what, they're probably the second spinner short, but if the second spinner short, the fifth bowler, I've got three that can fiddle me some overs, and I've got more of a defined role of the players that are in there, where i.e. my wicketkeeper is at number 7, and then I've got four gun bowlers. Then I like that balance. When I look at weaknesses, I think one thing we're going to find a lot of weaknesses of all the teams have not played a lot of cricket.
Yeah.
There's not many of these guys who played a lot of cricket. They've all had IPL contracts. They didn't go back after the second IPL. There's only one or two that's gone back. That for me would be a big part of it. And I'm talking from experience point of view here. Bowlers, when they haven't bowled for a while, and I look at Mitchell Starc, his radar can be a bit off, and he hasn't bowled for a long time.
But isn't that the problem?
And if he doesn't quite hit his...
Isn't that the problem, though? If we're going in with four bowlers and asking a couple of the others to make up the overs, going batting heavy, essentially, one bowler has...
But if you know they're not there, though, John, if you know before the game that his radar's off, then you don't pick them. You pick your 4 gun bowlers. If you're going to pick your 6 batsmen and a wicketkeeper, you don't pick your bowler who can't hit the cut straight. Now, that would be for preparation and going in through. So that would be a slight weakness, but I don't expect that to happen. I would just expect that when the juices are flowing, the beans are going, and into the battle it comes, the competitor will come out, and I don't see that being too much of an issue. The second spinner would worry me over in the where the tournament's played, but I just think clarity of role that you've got by having the depth in the team that you have, I would be tempted to go in with 4 out and out bowlers in the 3 fiddly bowlers, the Mitch Marsh, Stoinis and Maxwell. And Maxwell's a good enough bowler in subcontinental conditions to bowl 4 overs if need be. So that for me would be fine. I think these are the only weaknesses I see of Australia is game time. Not the inability, you play against spin, but the inability of having time on the ground in the last 12 to 18 months, because we've talked about it with the Ashes, everything that's going with it, and how can Australia be so blasé and shout you've got to come on England when you haven't travelled anywhere in the world. Really, they haven't gone anywhere. They've got the Caribbean and Bangladesh. None of the big boys went. That could be their weakness in this tournament.
Okay then, Harmy, so you, after going through the team, you're suddenly a bit more confident for them. Do they finish in the top 2? And if they do, who do they knock out on the way to the semi-finals?
Yeah, I think it's I believe it's going to be an India, Australia, England, Pakistan semi-finals. I really do. I think India will win the Group 1. I think England will win their group. I think Australia will beat the West Indies. I still look at the West Indies side and think, they're going to win the tournament, or they're going to be out within the first 2 or 3 games because of the selections that they've got. Could be that hit or miss. I don't think South Africa are even in the equation. So I think Australia will come second in this group. And then as the tournament goes on, the more match time they're on the field, they might have a chance of springing an upset in the semi-final. But I can see India playing Australia in the semi-final.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. Thanks so much for watching the show. We'll have another team preview for you tomorrow. If you got this far, don't forget to leave a comment below and like and subscribe.